Hello, everybody. This is the host of the show with no name, and hey, it's a whole new year. I know I'm a little bit late for that, but I was thinking I do this a lot, and a lot of people really like it when I do this in real life, so hey, I'm going to tell you guys just a little story about some things that happened to me. Now, one thing you need to know about me is I have always wondered for a while what my worst fear was, but due to something that happened to me recently, I think I realized what my very worst fear is. And that is needles. You know those videos of kids who, are just, really freak out whenever they have to get a shot, and they're just, psyching themselves out, and they're, hyperventilating and screaming and crying? That is me. Most kids grow out of it. I never have. And I've gone to a pediatrician my entire life. That might be a little weird, I don't know. And it's whenever I have to get a shot, it is one of the worst, one of the lowest points of my entire week, pretty much. And people are saying oh, it doesn't really hurt. Oh, you can't feel it. What are you talking about? It's really painful. This really long, tiny piece of metal is being injected into your flesh. I hate it so much. And I don't understand how people can just sit there and not even react. I've tried so many different things. I'm all right, I don't want to look at the needle. I want it to surprise me. Or I want to look at the needle. I want to see it coming. Or any combination. And every single time it's still this huge ordeal. And this is just something that I realized that I'm never going to be able to grow out of. Because, recently, around sometime last semester, there was this blood truck that came out. And I'm I always thought about donating blood. Because, I saw the trucks when I was in high school, but, I never got around to it. Then I saw that, and I was right there, you can just walk in and donate some blood. I actually wasn't able to do it. Not because I chickened out, but because literally when they approached my arm with the needle, I flinched so hard, they missed the vein and poked the wrong place. They tried it on both arms, and something happened, and it just all swollen up, and I got, huge bandages all over both of my mid-arms, and I didn't donate a drop of blood. And I realized that that's, something close to my worst nightmare. It's a shot, but one that's longer, thicker diameter, and the one that isn't quick at all. It stays in there for 5 minutes. But I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So I went to the blood truck again the next time I saw it, and I was psyching myself out. And here's how bad it is with me. I was psyching myself out and freaking out over that tiny little pinprick thing they use. That tiny little pinprick thing they do on the end of your finger just to give you some blood. I was a little kid again when I don't even remember why, I don't know if this is an actual term, but my mom called it my 5-year-old checkup. And there were 4 parts to it, I remember. And the first part was it looks like a little pen. And then she did this, and then she put it on my finger, and then it was ah! And it was what the hell? And then it was I was a kid, I didn't say that, but I was that was my emotional state. And I was oh my god. And then she approached me with an actual pen, and I'm that's not gonna poke me, is it? And then she had to write down to prove that it was actually a pen. But even now, when I'm 18, I was really, really nervous. I was getting so much anxiety over this tiny little pinprick at the end of my finger. I accidentally cut myself when I'm using an X-Acto knife or a utility knife. I cut myself with that, and I don't react to it much. A lot of times I don't even notice it, but when it's a needle or something that pokes me, I would just I can't deal with that. I had to ask them to do a countdown or do it on my mark for them to even do the tiny little poking. But actually having the needle into your arm to bring out blood is a whole other galaxy of just anxiety for me. I saw a bunch of other kids, both times I was in the bus, I saw a bunch of other kids who were just lying there while they have something in their arm that is pulling out their, bodily fluids. I'm how? That's just not who I am. I don't get this. But this finally brings me to, I think it was last Tuesday, where I saw the bus And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna do it at least once, just so that I can just do it. So I went in and did the whole debacle with the tiny finger poke, and then I had to sit in the chair. And let me tell you, sitting in that chair, waiting for them to come up to you with a gigantic needle, for me at least, is like one of the layers of hell. I hated it so much. And one of the worst parts is that they said, like, you're not very dehydrated, so it's going to be hard to find the vein. I'm like, okay, they're going to miss, and they're going to stab something important. It's going to be my fault. But no, they were able to find a vein. And, like, the doctor, like, they got the big head honcho doctor to come for this one. So, he came up, and, like, he just, like, said, whatever you do, do not turn and look at it, okay? I was like, okay, that's good advice. And it's like, they made me face the the inside of the wall, like, on the bus, and there was this little thing where they was, like, talking about what happens if you give enough blood, and he suggested that I read it out loud, but I was just sitting there, and I was so nervous that I was just literally like, once you donate a gallon of blood, but I was like, give them a countdown, and it was like, I felt like I was about to get shot, like, with a gun, like, right in the legs, and then, like, 1, 2, 3, and then it went in, and, like, a lot of you might be thinking, like, oh, and then you realized it's okay, like, it's not that painful, it's gonna be okay. No! No! I'm pretty sure that if I did see it, I would have passed out, or, like, freaked out, or I don't even know what would have happened if I had actually turned to look at it. I was craning my neck. I felt like I was hurting my neck in an effort to face the wall. It was ridiculous. And, I didn't see it, and because of that, I was imagining that it was just, like, that it was about the diameter of a pencil, and it was this really gigantic thing that would go in just way into my flesh, and it was literally pulling out my life. I have never broken a bone in before. I don't know what going into shock feels like, but if there was ever a time in my life where I was really close to just full out going into shock, like my body is just like, no, it was at that moment. But I was trying to persevere, I was trying to prove something to myself, so I was sitting there, and I was trying to strike up a conversation with, actually the doctor was trying to strike up a conversation with me, but it was very, very obviously one-sided. He was just, it's like talking to a baby, like speaking sweet nothings to a baby to calm them down. It was just like, yeah, mechanical engineering? Yeah, probably gonna go into the energy sector. But my dream job is essentially be one of those voice actors that do dubs for anime. Yeah, Japanese cartoons. And I was just like, and then like a minute later he pulled it out and he says, and he just went, this isn't gonna work. I'm like, what? You were literally clenching so hard that no blood came out. And looking back, I realized that this is a ridiculous lie, but I completely and totally believed it at the time. I was just like, ugh, and I was just like, maybe this just isn't for me. Maybe I'm just not one of those people who can give blood. Like, maybe I just physically cannot do it. But then later he showed me the bag and it was like, I was just messing with you. And as you can very well imagine, every single person on the bus was, throughout this entire time, at least grinning ear to ear. People were laughing at me, and I feel like if I ever do it again, somebody is going to pull out their phone and record me and go on the internet, because to be completely real, I imagine it was very hilarious seeing this tall, like, 18-year-old guy just freaking out. Like, just, like, can't even describe how I felt, except for the fact that every single cell in my body hated it. So, that's what happens when I try to give blood, and I did manage to give an entire pint. I hope whoever needs that blood will put it to good use. Because the doctor actually said, it's like your soul is getting sucked out through the needle. And that's exactly how I felt. And he's like, that's exactly what it looks like. So, yeah, I realized that day that I will never be able to grow out of my fear of needles. And you know what? I will always despise, I will hate, I will have huge anxiety over anything that involves needles. That's not how it is with everybody, but hey, one of the things you have to do with your fears is that you have to face them, or else they will just haunt you forever. And donating blood was like a big tick off. Like, yes, I faced my fear. Does it mean I'm not afraid of it anymore? No. Does it mean I'm ever going to try to donate blood again? Probably not, but when I got turned away the first time I tried to give blood, that was a massive blow to my ego. This time, considering what a fool I made of myself, it was also kind of a blow to my ego, but it was less so. Alright, that's the story about how much I hate needles and what happens when I try to give blood. I hope the story was entertaining. People certainly found it entertaining at the time. I'll see you guys later.